Hello everyone, I am here to read the Danish Slaughterhouse Chapter 4. This is going to be a long one, so get your popcorn or whatever sort of snacks you like and a drink and let's get started. The rays of the early rising sun streamed through snow-white sheer curtains hanging from the window, filling the bedroom with a soul-soothing soft light. Using the sunlight for visibility, Lucas skimmed over the ancient Germanic writings of his thick, deer-hide-bound magic book. He sat cross-legged on the bed, thumbing through the book that he had nestled on his lap and pushing up his reading glasses. The book was well bound and strong, preserved and protected by the magic within the paper in dark ink. It also held many important information on supernatural phenomena. It the reliable guide for Lucas to read when he needed to. He needed the magic book now to figure out what sort of paranormal being had attacked him when he entered Matthias's mansion. Whatever it was that made Lucas's body freeze to the point of Arctic temperatures, it was something alive, and Lucas needed to know what that thing was so that he'd know whether it was a benevolent being he could trust or a malevolent one that he needed to fight. Even though he really didn't want to admit it because of his pride as a powerful spellcaster and an ex-Viking, Lucas was actually a bit traumatized by what happened. The being that attacked him was gone, yes, but he still felt some ice course through his veins as he walked throughout the mansion, as if every step brought him deeper and deeper into the underworld, and it didn't help that he kept hearing faint noises. Clunk, clunk, shing, clunk, clunk. Like those noises, the same noises that had been resounding through the upstairs hallway before dawn broke. It wasn't a ghost haunting the mansion because Lucas didn't detect any poltergeist, nor was it some demon possessing the other Nordics because they were all acting normal, insane, and perverted behavior. Lucas yawned loudly and turned another page. Doing research was really tiring, especially when one was reading a 2,000-page book, with more pages magically added whenever a new spell is created or some new information was discovered, straight through the night. Wishing that the book had a table of contents or at least an index, and gaining an intense migraine from the annoying noise going on outside, Lucas let his eyes roam over the next page and stared blankly at the words while trying to fight off sleep. He rubbed his eyes fervently and ran his fingers through his hair. Ugh, this shit is so fucking pointless, Lucas snapped mentally when the words in the book began to blur and the warm, soft quilt began calling to him strongly. Just when he slammed his book closed in frustration and defeat so he could get some much-needed rest, Lucas heard the clunks stop outside his door. His needed and cherished peace was disturbed as a looming giant man burst in through the bedroom door. This man was wearing a prison jumpsuit, stained with blood and mud and what looked like pieces of organs. His head was wrapped in a dark-colored bandana, and on his face was a cracked and dusty mask, black paint on molded clay to make sneering eyes and a sadistic smile. This masked man wielded a dull, dirty mache, playfully twirling it in his hand as he slowly walked toward Lucas's bed, staring at the occupant with the intensity and interest of an eager predator. He looked at every curve and angle of Lucas's body, from the soft roundness of his knees as he kneeled on his bed to the circumference of his violet, vacant eyes as they stared back in fear. Is he analyzing me? Lucas wondered in fear as he gaped back up at the giant, quivering and clutching the book close to his chest. His exhausted mind tried to catch up with his current predicament and force his body into action. But the way this man was just staring down at him through the eye slits of that creepy mask, tilting his head in taunting curiosity, Lucas could actually see the corner of the man's lips pull up in a smirk. Lucas felt his body quiver faster. Oh God, please don't let me die. Who are you? Lucas stammered. How did you get in here? The man chuckled darkly, running his fingers along the machete's blade, ignoring the blood that the act drawn. He tilted his head to side, as if enjoying a pleasant tune playing in his head. So, Lucas, he cooed darkly, his voice coming out in a low, raspy whisper. Oh, wow, I got that really wrong. How do you prefer to die? Would you rather just lie there as they take you apart, limb from limb? Or would you like to die like a true Viking and try to fight for your life? The masked man hummed thoughtfully to himself before chuckling. Or would you rather die as a kinky sort of guy? You're gonna have your insides ruptured and bleed out as this blade rapes your rectum. Oh god. I'm for any of those. You didn't answer my question, and you haven't answered mine, so I'm going to choose for you, the man replied, raising the machete high above his head. Option. Normally, Lucas would have fought back a threat like this masked killer by ripping open his book and reciting one spell after another to stop the predator's attack and maybe even kill him. But since his mind was still exhausted, it wasn't working as quickly or as properly as it should. Trying its hardest to catch up with Lucas's fear-charged body. So it made Lucas do the first clear choice it came up with. Lucas instinctively flung the hefty book of spells at the masked man. A corner of the book pierced the man's mask, cracking it and making the man himself stumble back before falling. He landed on the floor with a heavy thud, and the machete flew out of his hand, barely missing Lucas's shoulder as it stuck into the mattress behind him. As the man landed on the floor, his head bounced painfully on the carpet, making the mask pop off his face. Matthias? Matthias winced and yanked off his bandana on his head before rubbing his injured skull. Morning, Lucas, he groaned. Matthias, what the fucking hell? Matthias blinked and winced again. What? What the fucking hell are you doing? Lucas gestured to Matthias' outfit, the mask, and the machete behind him. Matthias had recovered from the injury. Matthias took in the objects Lucas gestured to and the entire situation before smirking. I just thought that it might be cool to, I don't know, spice up your morning. Like coming in here like a fucking maniacal Mike Myers wannabe and swinging in a dirty, bloody machete at me. Matthias shrugged nonchalantly. Woke you up, didn't it? Lucas simply gaped at him, not believing the new level of utter stupidity the Dane had reached. Clutching his fists and trembling, Lucas breathed deeply through his nostrils for 10 seconds to calm his building anger. He didn't want to start his morning with neither violence, punching Matthias' face in so deep that he wouldn't be able to smirk that trademark arrogant smirk of his ever again, nor with the admittance that Matthias was right. His little prank did work. The dose of adrenaline from the fright did give him an energy boost, and he didn't feel the need to crawl into bed and make up for his sleep anymore. Once he was sure that every urge to kill Matthias was gone, Lucas reached behind him and gripped the machete's hilt, pulling the blade out of the mattress and holding it out to Matthias, making a subtle squeamish grimace at the weapon all the while. Matthias snickered. Dude, chill. The blood's not even human, okay? Lucas stared at him. So it's animal blood, then? Well, yeah. Lucas turned the machete around in his hand so that the end of its hilt pointed toward Matthias before chucking it at him. The hilt's end hit Matthias in his forehead, and the weapon landed safely on his lap. Ah, damn it, Lucas. Matthias' hand flew up to the quickly purpling bruise forming on his forehead. That really hurt. How many head injuries do you want me to suffer? Ouch. Just enough to knock some sense into you and help you realize your stupidity, Lucas retorted. He slid off the bed and went to retrieve his book, ignoring the Dane's whimper of pain. He went to the antique trunk at the end of the bed and placed his book inside it. Matthias tilted his head again as he watched Lucas. You still have that old thing, Lucas? He asked as he stood up. Of course I do, Lucas said. No self-respecting magician would go anywhere without his or her book of spells, unless the magician is ready to give up the title and is ready to face any danger in the world without a spell at hand. It's pretty much an unspoken mandatory rule. Pfft, you guys are such Potterheads. Lucas turned his intense glare at Matthias and slammed the trunk's top shut. He then walked up to Matthias and flicked at the purple blues. Dude, I was just kidding, Matthias groaned softly as he rubbed his bruise again. Anyway, what were you doing with it? You're not going to cast any spells on me, are you? No, I was just looking up the symptoms for that bizarre episode I had when I first came here. So far, nothing. Oh, Matthias said. His eyes became vacant as his mind wandered to that scene in the entrance hall before his attention returned a split second later. Well, good, because I just had enough of you transforming me into a rabbit. Why are you here, Dane? Lucas asked impatiently, crossing his arms and frowning. Oh, we need breakfast. And you couldn't make it yourself, I assume? Oh, Norse, I just love how you can read me like an open book. You do know that phrase indicates that you have a low emotional IQ, not that I know you so well. Know you so well. What? Lucas sighed. It's not a sign of love, you dunce. It's a sign of your inability to hide your emotions and thoughts. It means that you're too open without even realizing it. He received another confused stare. Anyway, why don't you make breakfast instead of expecting others to do it, especially the guests? Because I'm too busy planning today's Nordic Rose bonding activity, Matthews exclaimed jubilantly. Oh, no. Oh, yeah. Now get downstairs and make me breakfast. Oh, my God. Make me breakfast, bitch. And then get ready for a really kick-ass date. Matthews pumped a fist in the air. Fine, whatever, Lucas huffed begrudgingly. But after I take a shower, he began walking to his closet to retrieve his bathrobe, but then he stopped when a thought occurred to him. He spun on his heels, stepped up to Matthews, and flicked his bruised forehead, sought the back of his head right where Matthews landed when he fell on the floor. Don't call me a bitch, he grumbled as Matthews gripped his head and crumbled to the floor in agonizing pain. Is anyone able to tell me what is going on? Tino asked as he looked down at his attire. After they had eaten breakfast, the 5 Norks and Peter stood together in what appeared to be the private exercise room. The exercise equipment pushed far away to give the nation space, although it really wasn't necessary since the room was spacious enough. It was almost twice the size of Lucas's bedroom. They stood in the center where a mat was placed, scuffing their combat boots against the mat, tightening and loosening the Velcro on their knee pads, and tugging at their uncomfortably tight and itchy spandex shorts with the World Wrestling Entertainment logo on the back. The spandex didn't affect Lucas. He just stood there and beamed excitedly at his guests. Lucas was the exact opposite, as he pulled subtly at the clothing that was riding up into certain unpleasant areas. He glared directly at Matthews, and wished he had memorized the spell for making targets combust right where they stood. Isn't it obvious, Mama? Peter replied, We're going to wrestle. It's so cool. As the little guy said, Matthews confirmed, glaring at the child for stealing his opportunity. We'll be wrestling today. Thought that it might be good for us if we let some macho manly juices out of our system. You know, let the Viking in us come back out. Emil slowly raised his hand. Yeah, problem, Matthews, Emil said. Not every one of us were Vikings, if you forgot. In fact, only you, Beryl, and Lucas were Vikings. Well, Peter's a kid, I had little fighting experience, and Tino's just a wimp. Hey! Tino glared at Emil. So how will this little wrestling thing you have for us be fair? Emil continued. Simple, my good man, Matthews replied. He paused for dramatic effect before saying, You'll all be wrestling me. What? The others yelled. They then began sounding their protests simultaneously. Matthews put his palms up. Hey, guys, chill. It isn't that bad, okay? Matthews, it's 5 against 1, Lucas stated. Even if 2 of us are too weak to fight heat out of a paper bag. I better not be one of those 2, Lucas, Tino snapped, still pissed off at Emil's insult. As I was saying, even if 2 of us aren't even close to being strong and probably wouldn't have a chance at hurting you, it's still too many opponents for 1 person. Daw, it's so sweet how you're so loving towards being concerned about my well-being, Matthews squealed as he ruffled Lucas's hair. But don't you worry, my sweet little Norwegian kitty-witty. None of this will involve my bones being broken or my limbs being ripped off my body. Too bad, Burl muttered, earning a light chuckle from Peter and Emil. Matthews shot a quick glare at his younger brother before continuing. Our wrestling matches will work the same way that the races worked. Each of you will be timed as soon as you step up and ready to go, and you have to try to beat each other's time. The difference is that there could be more than one outcome to this. You guys could beat me, in which then you'll have to beat each other's time. I could beat one of you, or heck, I could just beat all of you. As for the first outcome, if you guys manage to pin me on the ground and keep me pinned, then the timer will stop and that'll be your result. Whoever beats me the least amount of time wins. And who's going to time us while we fight? Lucas asked him. I mean, how do we know we can trust each other to record the correct time result and not cheat to win? Oh, the mat will do that for us. Matthew's response was met with a confused look. Sighing, Matthews explained, the mat is weight sensitive and connected to a stopwatch, so when a body is held down long enough, the mat will register that as the official pin and stop the time. He crouched down, making the other Nordics groan in disgust and avert their eyes from the spandex-pledged loins that he was oblivious of to hide, and patted the mat below them. Yep, this baby here is unbiased. Totally legit in the pair. So, where is this special stopwatch it's connected to? Mill asked. They all scanned the room to look for the tool, albeit only Matthews would know what it looks like. Damn, I've got to set it up, Matthews grumbled. He went to the room's closet and searched through it noisily. Once he found the stopwatch, which looked more like a large widescreen alarm clock with a red switch and a couple of large buttons, he knelt beside the mat, pulled the cords from a hidden part of it, and plugged them into the stopwatch. He flipped the red switch on the stopwatch, and large bold green zeros appeared on the screen. He fell over the buttons, his face set in the most focused expression any Nordics have seen since his old days as a Viking, where he would hunt and pillage with almost military strategy. After he had set up the stopwatch, Matthias stood up and looked at his opponents, smiling haughtily. I can't pronounce the haughtily. It just sounds wrong. He did a series of macho poses as he asked in a deep, loud, playfully menacing voice. I can't talk loud, my throat's kind of sore. So which one of you wimpy chumps want to be the first to take on the big, the strong, the undeniably handsome, one and only greatest Viking? He swept an arm in a noble bow, the king of Scandinavia. Lucas, Tino, Emil, and Peter immediately looked towards Berold, who felt them staring at him and blushed in discomfort from the sudden and expectant attention. I guess I can give it the first go, he muttered as he took off his glasses and handed them to Tino. He stepped onto the mat in front of Matthias. The others quickly scurried off the mat, knowing full well that when these two fight, it'll get destructive, even if they weren't allowed to injure each other greatly. Ah, so it's you that dares to take on the king of Scandinavia, I see, Matthias said, with his chest puffed out. I hope you are well prepared for a whipping on your... Ah! Berold had tackled Matthias to the mat before letting Matthias finish his taunting. But the way Berold had positioned himself on Matthias, straddling him while pushing down on his chest, it looked as if Berold was sure to win this match before even a minute passed. But Matthias wasn't going to take a loss so easily. Gripping Berold's wrist, Matthias used his free arm to elbow Berold's collarbone, and when the hit had momentarily distracted Berold, Matthias twisted Berold's wrist and pushed him off. They both rolled onto their feet and bent low, palms up as if ready to grab each other. They circled the mat without breaking eye contact. So, you tried to take me on while I was momentarily distracted, huh? Matthias asked. Couldn't wait for me to at least get the crowd hyped up for our match. You talk too much, Berold simply stated. He lunged at Matthias again and grappled his hips. He then lifted him up to body slam him, but Matthias swiftly kicked and twisted out of Berold's hold and landed gracefully on his feet behind Berold. When you're as epic of a fighter as I am, Barry, people simply can't get enough of my words. Matthias reciprocated Berold's lunging move and tried to get at his hips, but Berold predicted that move and met Matthias head on. They ended up grabbing each other's shoulders, pushing at each other to get the opponent to the ground. Hey, kick his ass, Papa, Peter ordered, bouncing on his toes in extreme excitement. Peter, what have I told you about swearing? Tino scolded him. When he heard Berold grunt and saw that Berold was on his stomach, with Matthias strutting his back and twisting one of Berold's arms behind him, Tino gasped. Berold, what the hell? Get his ass off of you. You're bigger than him. Kick his ass. That proved to be enough motivation for Berold, because he used his free arm to push himself up. He then twisted his torso twice, once to make Matthias lose his balance, and the second time to quickly use his free arm to elbow Matthias off. Give him the chair, Papa, Peter shouted, which was unnecessary since Berold rolled on Matthias and had pinned his wrists down with one hand and his chest with the other. Chair? What chair? What chair? There's no chair, you idiot, Emil scoffed. The stopwatch made a harsh buzz, indicating that it registered Berold's pin and made Berold the winner of this match. Ah, damn it, Matthias yelled as he kicked down on the mat in anger. I keep misspeaking. Berold climbed off of Matthias and held out his hand. You did well, Berold said as Matthias took his hand and let himself be pulled up. Whatever, you too, I guess, Matthias grumbled. He went to the stopwatch. Wow, 4.5 minutes? Nice job, bro. He cheered as he reset the stopwatch. He then went to slap Berold's shoulder merrily. Berold walked off the mat, rubbing his shoulder and wincing softly. So who else wants to step up and challenge the king? Matthias, shouldn't you take a quick break before trying to fight anyone else? Tino asked with concern. Matthias held his head high, puffed out his chest again, and beat his fist on it. Nah, man, I'm good for another round. Don't forget, dude, you're looking at the greatest warrior the world has ever seen. says the guy who's been beaten by his practically blind little brother in under 5 minutes, Emil muttered mockingly. He and Lucas snickered to each other while Tino tried not to giggle. Not to giggle. God, my voice sounds awful when I have a sore throat. Oh, what's that I hear? Matthias said as he cupped a hand to his ear. Does that sound like my next opponent who dares to take on the king? No, well, step up, little man. Matthias slapped his palms on his chest. Come at me, bro. Rolling his eyes, Emil walked on the mat and looked up at Matthias with a bored expression. Good luck, little bro. Lucas called out to Emil. Emil only crossed his arms and rolled his eyes again as a response. This is stupid, Emil muttered. Aw, you're just saying that because you know your scrawny ass will be kicked hard, Matthias pointed to himself. By me. Oh yeah. You're seriously too excited about the... Hey! Emil jumped out of the way as Matthias lunged at him. Whoa, would you mind calming down just a tad? There's no such thing as calming down in WrestleMania. Matthias lunged at Emil again, who jumped out of his path again, and Roundhouse kicked Matthias in his bottom. Wow, he literally kicked your ass, Emil laughed. He bounced on his toes as the adrenaline started to kick in. Matthias glared at him over his shoulder, rubbing his butt and blushing in embarrassment. Now really getting in the fighting spirit, Emil smirked, fighting his stance, placing his fists by his hips. When Matthias charged at him for the third time, Emil grabbed an outstretched arm, turned around, and flipped Matthias over his back. Wow, go Emil, Lucas deadpanned as he instantly replayed the physically daunting move in his mind with admiration. Emil skipped backward when Matthias slowly rose from the mat. He then charged at Matthias and tackled him to the mat. He turned Matthias on his stomach and twisted both of his arms behind him. He looked at the stopwatch expectantly, but yelped in surprise and became disappointed as Matthias easily shook him off. Sprawled on the mat, Emil cursed under his breath as Matthias practically jumped on him to pin him down. He lifted up Emil's leg, waited, and grinned as the stopwatch buzzed. He jumped off of Emil and started bouncing around as he held his fist above his head. Winner, he announced at the top of his lungs. He looked at the stopwatch. Dang, and at only 2 minutes, too. Now you know better than to talk smack to the champ. He quickly went to reset the stopwatch for the next match. Emil stormed off, swatting away Lucas's hand as Lucas tried to pat his back sympathetically. In his fit of frustration, he shoved Tino onto the mat. Hey, Tino stammered as he stumbled forward. He pouted at Emil before returning his attention to Matthias, who finished resetting the stopwatch and was looking down at Tino with a predatory sneer. Wow, it's always the smaller ones who are more eager to step up to the ring and take on the champ. Matthias chuckled. Why is that? Tino chuckled nervously. Well, I don't really know the reason for that, Matthias. I know I wouldn't take on more than I can. Matthias slapped Tino's shoulder. Hey, Tino, relax already. Like I said, no bones will be broken, so you have nothing to fear. He stepped back and assumed the fighting stance, knees bent and palms up. Well, if you say so, Tino mirrored Matthias, and they started to circle each other. Go mama, Peter shouted. Burl muttered a yeah to show his way of support. The circling went on for about a couple minutes, with neither of them willing to end the cycle. Oh, come on, Tino, Beryl yelled impatiently. Seriously? Well, damn, Beryl, it's not like I really know what I'm doing here, Tino shouted without looking away from Matthias. I have to agree with Barry, dude. You're gonna have to attack me, or you're gonna have to attack sometime, Matthias said in a sing-song tone. Well, since you're so eager to start this, why don't you attack me? Hey, man, you're the one who was too scared to even face me without a little push. I'm just allowing you the first hit. Oh, really? How nice of you. Hey, but hey, if you're not going to take it. Matthias lunged after Tino, who suddenly cartwheeled to the side out of Matthias' path. Matthias gaped at him. What the? Tino stared at the spot he was just standing on in surprise. Wow, I don't know what that was. I guess I have some sort of soldier still in me. Matthias snorted at the unknown joke. Oh, shut up, you idiot. Tino grabbed one of Matthew's arms, swung forward, then forcibly pulled him backward and let him go. Matthew stumbled backward, fell on his butt, and rolled onto his feet. Tino stayed away, but still held his fighting stance, waiting for Matthew's attack. Matthew stayed still and suddenly stomped in front of him on the mat. He didn't move towards Tino, but it still made Tino flinch and cross his arms in front of him in defense. When Tino saw that Matthews didn't move, he put his arms down, which was a bad idea because Matthews did come after him. He clotheslined Tino to the ground, turned him on his stomach, straddled him, and wrapped an arm around his neck. He pulled Tino's head back into a chokehold and waited for the stopwatch to sense the pain. But Matthews, damn it, be careful with him, Burl ordered in fear as he watched his husband's face slowly turn blue. He didn't have to worry long Well, you didn't have long to worry, though. Tino slapped the mat repeatedly before the stopwatch even buzzed. Matthews climbed off of Tino before, and... Oh, wait. I read that wrong. Matthews climbed off of Tino and pulled him up. Aw, Tino, dude, quitting? That's lame. You're choking me, Tino protested as he rubbed his throat and gasped for air. What happened to no serious injuries? I was just pitting you, Tino. Gosh, I wasn't going to strangle you to death. He went to reset the still-running stopwatch, which had hit 3 minutes and 28 seconds. Aw, you couldn't even last 5 minutes. Next. Like a mill, Lucas stepped onto the mat with a bored and impatient expression. And Matthias turned away from the stopwatch and saw Lucas. He cringed his special grin. The wide, cocky grin that he reserved only for Lucas when he was ready to play with his kitten, laced with all of its glorious innuendo and mischief that only one who have went through the hundreds of thousands of lewd nights couldn't detect. Matthias crossed his arms and started walking around Lucas, looking him up and down, chuckling in a low voice. Wow, so my next opponent is my precious, But I'm not sure that is a good idea, though. I mean, there's not much in the muscle mass department. Your height could be a little higher. You just don't know when people are sick of your constant and pointless taunting, do you? Lucas muttered as he put his hands up and widened his stance. And your attitude leaves much to the imagination, Matthews grumbled. Nonetheless, he shrugged and got into position. They both stood still, hearts palpitating in anticipation, breaths coming in and out slowly, until Lucas was just sick of waiting for Matthews to attack first and came at him, jumping and kicking Matthews in the chest right at the center, just light enough to sting him without breaking his chest plate. Winded by the kick, Matthews gasped and grasped at his chest. He bore his teeth in a playfully vicious sneer. He charged at Lucas to grapple his waist, but Lucas crouched low and made a sweeping kick under him to trip him. Matthews skidded on his stomach as he fell and pushed himself up. Good to see you're not out of touch, Norge, Matthews scoffed. Lucas only wiggled his index finger. Come on. Whoa, Lucas is so badass, Peter gasped in admiration, and Mel sighed and rubbed the bridge of his nose. Matthews ran towards him and tried to strike Lucas' stomach. Lucas swiveled to the side and shutted his knee into Matthews' exposed gut. Matthews grabbed Lucas' thigh and shoulder and lifted Lucas high above his head. He stomped Lucas onto the map and smelled inwardly as Lucas yelped and writhed. Lucas! Emil cried, which made Matthews smile harder. He started to walk towards Lucas to help him, but stopped when Beryl put an arm to block him, shaking his head in disapproval. Matthews bent down to Lucas's face. That ought to make up for the added injuries this morning, he used in Lucas's ear. Lucas quickly wrapped his arms around Matthews' neck and pulled him to the mat with him. Once Matthews was on the mat, Lucas grabbed Matthews' arm, slung a leg over his chest, and pressed his leg down as a sort of weight while he tugged the arm. He almost murked himself when Matthews remembered in pain. Ow! Lucas, let go! Matthews finally cried out. There's only one way I'd let go, Dane, Lucas replied coldly. Come on, Dane, submit, he thought. Almost as if he was reading Lucas' mind, Matthews yelled, never, in a strained voice, and wriggled frantically. Using his free hand, Matthews grabbed Lucas's ankle and lifted his leg until he had enough room to move freely. He rolled on his side into Lucas's thigh, and jerked the leg upward, yanking his arm free when Lucas was too distracted by the sudden act to hold on tightly any longer. He scurried away from Lucas and stood up, rolling his aching shoulder. Damn, man, are you seriously going to dislocate my shoulder? Lucas stood up as well and shrugged. Maybe. But I thought you didn't want any of my bones to break. No, I didn't want 2 or more people fighting you. Oh, yeah. Well, the rule still stands, and with that said, Matthews trailed off as he ran to Lucas with an arm crooked out to clothesline him. Lucas swiftly bent backwards and turned around to grab Lucas' still outstretched arm. He wrapped a leg around Matthews' leg, pulled it back, and sent them both falling to the mat, with Lucas on top of him. Lucas then straddled Matthews, twisted his arm back, and held him down by the back of his neck. A few seconds later, the stopwatch buzzed. Woohoo! Yeah! Mill cheered as he threw his fists up in the air. When he noticed that everyone stared at him in amused surprise, he lowered his arms and coughed. I'm only happy that Matthews lost, he mumbled. Matthews shoved Lucas off his back and stood up pouting, straightening his spandex shorts. Next, he grunted. Lucas stood up as well and snickered. Wait, don't tell me you're actually pissed. When Matthews trudged towards the stopwatch in deliberate silence, Lucas snickered louder as his eyebrows rose in astonishment. Wow, I can't believe you're actually this sore about losing to me. Geez, Uncle Matthews, it was just a small wrestling match. No need to get so worked up over it, Peter said to appease his brooding uncle. I'm not freaking worked up, Matthews almost yelled. He picked up the stopwatch. Really, Matthews? Lucas asked as he put his hands on his hips. Because this looks so much different than how you reacted when Beryl had beaten you. That's because Beryl isn't some dainty-ass pansy, Matthews grumbled as he filled with the stopwatch. A thin smile crept on his face as he read the time. Heh, doesn't really matter, though. You lost to Beryl anyway. 5 minutes and 6 seconds. Now get off my mat. Oh my god, I've been recording for half an hour. Whew. Scoffing, Lucas stormed off the mat, and Peter skipped excitedly in his place, face set in a determined smirk. Matthews started the stopwatch and turned to Peter, not even bothering to get into his fighting pose. Peter charged at him and grappled his hips, heaving up as he tried to lift Matthews for a body slam. Matthews looked out at Peter with an unimpressed stare before scooping him up and gently laying him on the mat. He bent up before the stopwatch hit the 30-second mark. When Matthews released him, Peter stuck his tongue out and stomped off the mat into Tino's arm, muttering, cheating jerk, as he swiped repeatedly at his tears. Beryl watched Peter and laughed inwardly. What happened to not getting worked up over a wrestling match? Matthews taunted. He snickered as Peter secretly flipped him off when Tino wasn't looking. Anyway, now that WrestleMania has come to a close, he managed to choke back a fake sob before earning him a couple eye rolls and annoyed sighs. Now that it's over, I guess it's time to announce this tournament's winner, he announced with a loud baritone, and the winner for the Denmark Wrestling Confederation is Beryl Oxen and Sterna. I've actually never said Sweden's last name before, his human last name. I think that's the first time I've said it. He took Beryl's wrist and yanked it up above his head and then hurried to the closet to dig through it some more. And what better way to commemorate this victory than with the official championship belt? Matthews, Lucas spoke up. Don't you think you're taking this silly little game a bit too... Whoa. He trailed off as he joined the others in staring at the championship belt, which had authentic leather straps, a platinum hook on one strap, and multiple rings on the other strap for adjustable waist size. The large plate sewn in the belt's widened middle was covered with translucent green and blue rhinestones and had a large QW in its center. Beryl held out his forearms and Matthews laid the belt gently on them. Beryl gazed at the belt. Wow, it's nice. Doc, where'd you get this? Matthews slapped Beryl's shoulder again. No problem, buddy. Alfred gave it to me as an apology for not hanging out with me as much as we used to, but it's been a hassle to keep up with, which makes me glad you won. I know you wouldn't lose it time and time again. I had problems reading that, I'm sorry. Wow, you sure have been given a lot of gifts, Matthews, Tino said as he looked at the belt. He poked the W envelope and squeaked as it swiveled. Oh no, I think I broke it. I'm sorry. Or it's a piece of junk, Emil muttered. No and no, Matthews replied. It's made to spin like that. Look, he spun the emblem. See? It's a John Cena belt. Oh my god, I didn't think reading this I would see John Cena mentioned. Who? Beryl said. John Cena, American pro wrestler and movie actor. He's one of the coolest guys Alfred ever introduced to me. Yeah, to you, Lucas said. Not to the rest of us. Not everyone follows this wrestling thing like you and Al do. Speaking of wrestling, can we get out of these wrestling shorts? Emil asked as he fingered his shorts. These things have rode up on me too many times now. Fine, go, whatever, Matthews huffed. I gotta put this stuff away anyway. Would you like some help? Tino offered as the others made their way to the door, Beryl still fixated on his belt. Matthews waved his hand dismissively as he disconnected the stopwatch in the mat. Nah, go on, Tino, I got this. Go help Lucas with lunch or something. When Tino left the gym, Matthews began to pull the mat apart into smaller squares and leaned them against the wall. Once he finished that, he went back to the stopwatch and scooped it up in his hand. He pressed one of the large buttons a couple times, and into the palm of his hand fell a small silver computer chip. He flipped the red switch to shut the hidden camera off and went to the closet to put the stopwatch away. And that's it for Chapter 4. This actually took shorter amount of time to record than I thought it would. Anyway, like I said in the last video, please no spoilers in the comments since I'm trying to read all these chapters blind. and I will see you guys next time. Oh, and before I go, I have to remind you guys of the important notices that I mentioned in the title. So, because Eurovision is coming up, I'm of course going to be watching the live stream for both semis and the finale. And I will also be in whatever sort of Eurovision chat rooms that are available in the Hetalia Amino. The closer the dates come, I will be posting what chat rooms I'm going to be in. I might be in one, I might be in multiple, who knows. And I also plan to be taking pictures of my Romania cosplay, but I don't have a set time for that. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'll see you guys next time.